Alright, I just wanted to make a quick video on Lightburn of how to design just a simple house or a simple garage, just to show some different, or just to show the way that I do it. I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but it works for me. So first of all, you want to choose what size you want your garage. So you come over to this square, or this is what I do. Drag out the square. If you hold shift, it'll keep the square in a square. If you don't hold shift, you can change it around to whichever shape you want, but for this I'm going to use the square. So I'm going to make a square, change this to inches. To move the square around, you have to change back to this arrow tool, and then you can pick it up and move it where you want. It'll show you up the top the size of the square. If I just type in here now 8 inches, it will change the width to 8 inches. If I change the height to 8 inches as well, so it stays in a square. And now if you lock this, it would always stay a square. So if I type 10 inches, it'll be 10 by 10. So the next thing that I normally do is I'll get a hexagon, pressing shift again to keep it in perspective. Just drag out a hexagon, go over to shape properties. It shows you different things here. You want on the sides, I'll turn this down to 3 sides so you get a triangle, and then go back to your arrow tool, and so you can move it around. Just make the roof roughly how you want it. You can squash it down and have a low roof, you go a higher, just wherever you feel is correct. I'm just going to go with this for now and put it right about there. If you control and click on the square at the same time, then you'll see up the top here you've got these different tools, and this one will align the vertical centers. So it was already aligned, mine, but if it wasn't, that would have corrected it. So now I want to get rid of this, all this stuff in the middle that we don't want to cut out. So if you click on the square, click on the triangle, and then say everything out of the center, so it's taken away everything that's in between the lines there. So next you want to do your garage door, which is whatever size you want it. I'll go with there, which when you go back to your arrow tool again, you can move it and make it as wide or as tall as you want. I'll put this one off center so you can see. Control and click, so now they're both highlighted. Go up to the top, align the vertical center, and you see it puts it right in the middle correctly. So next, this is how I do my tabs. Again, I'm not sure if this is the easiest way, but this is the way that I do it. I drag out a tab, whatever size, or just roughly as big as I want. Make sure this is unlocked now, I do. And then you want the width to be the width of the wood that you're using. So I'm going to be using 4mm wood, so I'm going to change this to millimeters and say 4mm wide, and you see the size of it change. And now the length, you can make it any length you want and put as many as you want. I'm just going to say 50mm. Okay, now you can zoom in a bit with the scroll wheel and move this to roughly where you want it. I'm just going to put mine here for now. And then if you go to this tool down here, the array tool, click on that, you'll see it gives you X columns or Y columns. If you was doing X, they would go along that way, which you don't want for this. You want Y, and now you can space them as far apart as you want, so just so they're even. I'm going to put, once that one reaches the bottom, so now you've got 3 evenly spaced tabs. So Say OK. Now if you highlight all three of them, this is the way I do it. Sometimes you can use the union tool and it will just automatically cut them out, but this way always works for me. So highlight all three of them, make sure you drag this side, and as you can see the tab is still the same size. We're just moving the one side, so just make sure that that's well past the line. Then you want to make sure you select the house first and then select the tabs. Actually, before that, if you want to do it all at once, you can do it separately like that, but if you go over all three of the tabs so they're highlighted and group them, then you can click the house first, click on the tabs, and because they're grouped now, we say everything on the outside taken away. So now it's give us the three cutouts like you had there. Then I normally zoom in, start from this bottom corner. Actually, let's go to the middle one because that's got a top and a bottom. And you can see it roughly snaps to the size of this. So then, if you pick it up, sometimes you don't know if it's on the same line or because you can move it everywhere. When you pick it up, if you press shift and move it across, it'll stay on the same line unless you go too far out of the line, and you can see it starts to move. Or another way to do it is once you've made your box, use the arrow keys and press the left arrow key and get it over to that side, so now you know it's definitely on the same line. I mean, with this one it ain't a problem because I can see the top one's touching the roof, so I'll just zoom in, line that up with the roof. And then use the array tool again, say 3 with the Y, and it's kept your spacing from before, so you know this is the same as that side. Okay, now select them all by dragging your mouse, clicking and dragging so it's just touching the three of them. Make sure you're dragging left so the box is green, and then again you grab this side, drag it out so it's well past the house. Click the house. Oh, didn't group them. Let's just group them. So you can do it all in one go. If you don't group them, you have to do them individually. So you can still do it without grouping it, but it's just easier to group it. Take away everything that's on the outside. So now we've got our tabs that side. Down the bottom here, where I drew my garage door, there's actually a double line. And let me check this garage door, because sometimes it can look like it's touching, but you can see when you zoom right in, it's actually not. So you just want to zoom in very close and then drag it down. You can see now them lines pretty much line up. Now to get rid of, because there's two lines here now, so the laser's going to cut it twice. So to get rid of that, you want to still on your selection tool right click and convert this square to a path. So now it's a path. You can go to the node editing tool, and to take away from this, if you press D, that's delete. I'll just show you on this one so you can see it. So D, and then I'm going to press Control and Z, and that'll bring it back because I don't want to take that away. And then let's back to the arrow tool, click the house. Now this is a path, but if I press D now, it's just going to delete the whole bottom line. You don't want that. So if you zoom in and you press I, go to the intersection, press I, so it puts in a little dot. Same on the other one, I, puts in a dot. Now when you press D, it knows that you only want to go between them two dots. So D, you can see now it's just cut to them dots. Now if you wanted to add something like siding, this is how I would do it. Click down the bottom here. Oh, not down, too low. Let's just put it here for a minute. Hold shift so it stays straight, because otherwise it's hard to know when it's exactly straight. If you hold shift, you see it snaps to straight. Make sure you go to your other side, click, and then let me just quickly do that one more time so you can see. If you click and then hold shift, click, and you can see the line still wants to carry on. But if you want to get rid of that line, all you have to do is right click and it'll cut the line off at your last point. So now go back to the arrow tool, select the line and use an array again to draw out how you want your siding. You can see this is going downwards, we want it going upwards, so over here, reverse direction, okay. These lines are too far apart, so we just use the Y spacing until you get it roughly how you think it looks right. And then now just start adding more lines for your siding all the way up. I'll go to there for now, okay. And then make sure you're still on your arrow tool. If you drag out a green box, make sure you don't go past you drag out the green box and just go to where you want to cut this siding to, and then go to your node editing tool again. This don't have to be converted to a path because it's just a line. And then if you hold your finger on the letter T, it will trim out whatever's in the middle. So hold your finger down on T and just lift the mouse up and it'll cut all them lines out back to the last intersection. So now you can see my lines are all cut out down the middle where I want them. Okay, back to the arrow tool again. I'm going to click on this, on the building a minute, and go to the node editing tool. And you can still change this roof pitch, so I'm just going to drag this in a bit. Oops. Yeah, that's another thing. I use shift to try and keep this on the same line, but if you click and you don't take your finger off shift, see now they're both gone red, now it moves them both together. So really we don't want that here, so I'm just going to click off of it so they're not red, and just shift and click this one, bring it in. The same with these. If you didn't make your tab big enough, if you realise, oh well, I don't want 4mm, I want 6mm, I've changed my little squares into 1mm squares so it's easier to see, and then you can just shift and click that one so it goes red, shift and click that one so it goes red, and now drag them out and you can see there's 1mm and there's 2mm, so now that's 6mm instead of the 4 I started with. You can actually do these at the same time if you wanted. So just so you can see this ain't correct, I'm just going to Control and Z and go back. And then the same up the top, if you wanted a window, you could draw out a window. Center it again when you're building, so you go to the arrow, Control and click on the building, align, vertical center, you see, move the window over, and now what you can do is go to this O, which is an offset, and it'll tell you there if you want this is the original line that's flashing. Oh, I've got 2 layers selected here, so that's not correct. You just want to select the window only, offset, and you can see it's offset outwards, and that's the distance, so it's 3.78mm now. So if I wanted it 4mm, you can see it's drawn a line on the outside of my original line, 4mm, all the way round. And then for these tabs, what I normally do is, if I wanted to make my side for the building, just drag out a box the size that you want it. I'm going to make it the same height as the same size as the original building. Click the arrow, so now you can just move this box. I'll put it close. This is what I normally do. Just roughly line it up. Now hold shift and slide it out a bit, and then we had one tab here, and this first one, it was 50mm. You can see up the top there it's drawn this 50mm, but you want this to have a tiny bit bigger, because by the time you lose the curve from the blade, from the beam, you lose a little bit. So instead of 50, I'm going to add another, whatever your curve is, like say 59. It's going to make the height of this a little bit bigger, so now it's going to be a bit tighter to fit in here, so it don't just easily fall out. This is another way that you could do it, is let me just actually, I'm going to Control and D duplicates this, so now I've got another one that I can mess with after I've done this one. So I'm just going to drag this across, Control and click, so now they're both selected. Say, oh, this is supposed to be on the outside. Let me just move that over. Alright, so back to our 4mm, what our wood is. Alright, zoom in, shift, drag it across to it right on the side of your box. You can really zoom in and make sure that you're getting right on there. So now we know that's 4mm, the thickness of the wood. I'm going to pick this side up and drag it back so it don't mess with the side that we need. First click the house, Control, click the tab, and then say everything on the inside gone. So now it's taken away all this on the inside and just left you with your one tab. This one, I'll just line it up. As you can see, it's a little bit bigger than the original one. Use the arrows. Right now, shift and drag it across till you're on your line again. We duplicate that again. Put that one there for a minute. Shift and drag. Select the house first, then your tab. If it'll let you. House first, then the tab, and then everything on the inside we want out. So that's that tab, and now this one. I'm going to put it right in there where it's going. So you can see again, it's a little tiny bit bigger. Drag that across. Zoom in, make sure these line up. And then you can drag this in, select the house first, then your tab, everything on the inside out. And now you can see this is going to fit onto this one. To do the other side, all you have to do is Control and D, again that duplicates this one, and then you can flip it, take it over there, just have a double check, make sure that's going to fit. No reason it shouldn't, but just check it out. Yeah, and you can see fits that side. And now if you was going to do the back, you could just do the same again with the tabs on this side, and then the same again with the tabs on the back of the building, like you did here. So this is one way to do it, or one way that I do it, is duplicate it again on while it's on top of itself, mirror it, so now you've got where you need to draw them over here. Zoom into that one, draw out your two boxes, click this. This is the box that you just duplicated. Delete that. And now you've got these two. Oh, we've done these ones rather than the outside, but you get the idea. Well, let me go back, I'll do it properly. Okay, right. Oh, it's already duplicated, so duplicate that, mirror it, and then you could see really if you line this line up, just a tiny bit. And then you can right click, convert to path, which it already must be. And then you can delete these out like you did earlier. D for delete, D for delete, D, 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 if you only want these tabs. And then click on your original box, and I'll try T, yep, T, T, and now you've got a mirror image of it on this side. So now in theory, if I drop this one over here, oh, first make sure you group it. This is to group and this one's to ungroup. So now it should all move together. And you can see that lines up now with this side as well. So you could basically do the back the same as the front, just, and as well you can get rid of this one and just duplicate this one now, because you've got both sides if you're connecting it to the back. So this will go here, this one will go up here, and then you just need the same pattern on the back as you've got on the front to make the box. So let me just move that square, drag out your box wherever you want it, your back. I'm going to line it right up with these tabs. Yeah. Make sure the same height, yeah. I'm going to right click on it and say convert to path. I'm going to go to the node editing tool just to see a different way to do it, and then you can press I right on that corner, press I here, I on this corner, an eye here. Whoops. And then you could drag these nodes right into the corners like that. Now when you cut this, it's going to be quite a loose fit, but what you can do is to make it a little bit more, shift and click on these two so they're red, and then just lift it up as much as you need to make it wide, whatever your curve is. So probably want to zoom in and just, you can see down here, down the bottom, it says 393.84, so if I wanted that just over 400, oh, or is that, no, I'm wrong there. I'm not sure. But you can just do it like that, just slightly take it past. The same with that, that would be a tight fit now, and if it's too tight you just give it a little bit of sandpaper. That's one way to do it. Another way is to draw in your square, which is probably the better way really. Drag this across them, because with the square you can see the height of it, so just shift and drag it up however much you need, or type it in. I'm going to go with that. It's probably be a bit too much. So now we want this square and this tab, everything out the outside, and I'll leave it at that for now, but you can see that's now would line up at the back. If this was your back of your house, and now you've got that. And you would just do the same on that, and the same on the other side. Yeah, well that's how I do a simple garage. I'm sure there's many other ways, but, and then just make sure you put it as, if you're cutting something like this as well, sometimes you can, oops. Just move this out of the way. If it's got two flat edges like these two, you can actually just touch them together, zoom in pretty close, and then just put it so your lines are on top of each other, and go back to your node editing tool. Oh, did I convert that to a path yet? Back to the node editing tool. If you go to your node editing tool and there's no nodes there, or you can't convert it to a path, it's because I grouped it earlier. So make sure you ungroup it, and then once you go, now you've got a path. So then just press D to delete out this. Get rid of that. D, D, D. D. So now there's only one line going through here. Just to check that, I'll select this side. You can see now it's got only one line. It just saves a bit of time, saves cutting around two different things. If you're just cutting two straight edges, as long as they, you know, ain't got to be too accurate, because it's only the bottom, it don't matter to me here. Same with this one, if you had enough space you can just cut it